Do I have to sign a release or anything?
Yes. You just have to, now that I'm recording, I can get your verbal promise not to sue me. Let the record show that he half nodded. I don't know if that'll hold up in court.
Yes.
Right. Well, as you can tell, we're talking with Shawn Teague. Now, who the heck is Shawn Teague, you're asking? Well, he's a friend of mine, and he's my boss at church. I volunteer on the tech team, and he heads up the tech team. And Shawn, I have no idea what your official title is.
Technology director. That's as close as I can get, yeah.
Technology director at OVCN, also known as Oro Valley Church of the Nazarene, which is a mile and a half that way. For you, it's 11 miles. Okay, right. Yeah. You're up in Catalina, up in the rarefied air at 3,300 feet.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe some snow for you later this winter. Let's hope.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Right. So you and I were talking. We like to talk about tech stuff. I'm kind of techie. You're very techie.
It's my burden to bear.
Yes. Right. It's a blessing and a curse, is it not? I want to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to start. Hang on, I got a notification. Isn't that a beautiful phone? Look at that.
If you're into iPhones.
Isn't that great? Look at that. Isn't that the product red, how it pops like that?
Nice red.
Look, I can see you in the reflection. That's how shiny it is.
So you set it on a table a few different times.
Or, it's fingerprints on it just from picking it up already.
Yeah.
My iPhone XR. I love my iPhone XR. But earlier on this channel, when the iPhone XS and XS Max were first announced, I went on a rant, which I'm still standing by. Now, also, and I went a little too far and said, I'm going to get away from this abusive relationship known as Apple. I didn't do that, obviously.
How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, it didn't work out so well. And so I've already given my rant on this channel, and I know you have your own problems with iPhones. And in our next video that we're gonna record right after this, we'll talk about the phones that we have and why. But this iPhone rant is particularly interesting to me, and you have some unique perspectives. So what's on your mind?
Man, I tell you what, I've been an iPhone guy since there was an iPhone. I was a guy. I stood in line on day one back in 2007. In fact, I need to try to find that. I still have pictures from that. I ought to try to send those to you. But yeah, I was working for a company that provided BlackBerries for us, and I hated the BlackBerry. It was the one with the thumb wheel on the side,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It was awful. And at the time, I was also using a personal Palm Treo. And
old school.
Yeah, old school. In fact, I still have that thing somewhere too. So yeah, I've been with the iOS thing since the very beginning. Obviously, when the iPhone came out, there was no equivalent. Like I said, I had a 650, a Treo 650, and that was, I would consider that kind of state of the art. You had Windows CE phones and stuff, but they were for the really, truly nerdy guys out there, because it was like trying to keep an old Windows computer up and running. So I jumped on the iPhone deal, and yeah, immediately, there's a lot of limitations. When it first came out, there weren't applications. You had web apps, if you remember those. So people could code a website so that it looked and behaved like an application on the iPhone. But we all kind of knew that it was coming, right? There were apps going to be coming, because nobody would lay out all the original stock application icons the way that they did without accommodating, there's going to be other stuff filling your screen. And so finally, applications came out. I don't remember if it was iOS 2 or something like that. Of course, it was called iPhone OS, I think is what it was called originally. So anyway, I just, I've had an iPhone just about a new one every year, and I still have most of them because I'm that guy.
Was this the first year you skipped it?
No, I jumped ship. Gosh, it's probably been, I don't know, 5 years ago or so. I thought, I remember what it was actually. I was needing a really fast Wi-Fi hotspot. And at the time, the iPhone wasn't doing LTE yet. And so I went and got some HTC. It was an HTC One X, I think is what it was. And it was one of the first phones on AT&T doing LTE. And I got that specifically because I needed a hotspot connection for something I was doing. And it's kind of been an Android thing since. I've had several iPhones in the meantime, but that's kind of what broke the cycle, I guess.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you and I have talked about this a little bit. I know you have some other specific problems, but it sounds to me like, and I bounce back and forth between Android and iPhone. I've had more Androids, I think. And I started with the Palm Trio. That was my first phone. I had an HTC Evo something.
Right.
Was my first kind of smartphone. And I've had Samsungs, which in our next video I'll get into, or maybe this one, either one, or maybe both. I have problems with Samsungs because they just duplicate all the Google stuff. It's aggravating to me. No Bixby, please get that Bixby off of there.
Go away.
Go away. But you hear this argument a lot from Android users, and I've used it when I was an Android user, which is, oh, your iPhone can finally do what my Android's been able to do for a couple of years now.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing is I don't know. When I switched over to Android, I just all of these apps, and I could do all of these things that just straight weren't allowed. Like move an icon around on my home screen.
What?
That was the biggest thing for me. Was just I hate that everything on an iPhone or iOS is top left justified. And if you've got an iPhone 8 Plus or something, and I'm holding it with one hand, well, I kind of set the phone against my pinky and I use my thumb on the screen, right? I think that's pretty much how everybody does it. But you can't begin to reach the top of the screen. There's the stupid double touch, the home button thing. I can't think that I ever actually did that. So you wind up using two hands. And how hard is it to allow us to move the icons down to the bottom of the screen or wherever we want?
Because you can't leave that space. It fills in from the top down.
Top left.
And top left. And so you have this, if there is a space, it's at the bottom. And then you can go to another page and start over, but it's always the same. And then another aggravating to me along those lines is with my Android phones, I can put my icons in alphabetical order. So I don't know why Apple doesn't allow this. I can just, with one button, I can just put my icons in alphabetical order. And so when I swipe up, which now Android P, you can just swipe up, or I think previous Android too, and you've got all your apps and they're in alphabetical order. So they're so easy to find. On my iPad and my iPhone both, my icons are a little bit of a mess. I've tried to organize them some, but sometimes it's just hard to hunt for an app that I don't use very often.
Yeah, and everything just gets buried. It's like that guy that you work with that has a desk that's completely cluttered.
I'm that guy.
And you're the guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy. Piles, not files.
There you go. So you can create folders on iOS, but even then, it's still just this really clunky thing. Of course, you've got apps that you can't delete. The Stocks app. I've never opened the Stocks app before.
No. Yesterday would have been a good day, maybe, or a bad day to open that. I heard it was bad. This is my big rant for this year. Last year the iPhone 10, which I had, $1,000. Too expensive for the iPhone 10. I'm sorry, I don't know that any phone's worth $1,000. If there's a phone worth $1,000, you can make a better case for the Note 9.
I'd agree with that.
Because you can multitask, you can double screen, you have the stylus, which has a lot of cool features.
You get the little Dex dock thing and plug it into an external monitor, and it's a computer.
If that's your thing, I would never do that, but some people would find that very handy, I imagine.
But that's the kind of thing that would help justify that price.
Right, exactly right. So a lot more features with the Note 9. And here's the clincher for me. The Note 9 at $1,000 starts at 128 gigabytes of storage, and it's expandable. So then the iPhone 10s and the iPhone 10s Max come out, and you have the iPhone 10s. Basically, it's the iPhone again, still $1,000, right? That's right.
Yeah.
Starting storage, 64 gigabytes, not expandable. You want
Well,
the
but
10s?
Mike, you're missing the point, though. The point is that it's only what, $3 for an iCloud subscription,
No,
right?
but
You're missing the point.
no,
That's
no.
that's where they want you to go. They want you to
That
go to the Apple Store and
yeah,
buy an adapter,
yep.
and they want you to pay $3 a month for whatever it is, 100 gig of storage.
Thank you for bringing up the other part of the rant, because they don't include the dongle anymore if you want to plug in a headphone, or in my case, a microphone. So I have a lavalier microphone that I got on Prime Day a couple years ago for cheap, but it's normally worth more, and it does professional sound. And I need the dongle, and thank goodness I got the iPhone 10, so I have a dongle. Otherwise, if I'm jumping from the 8, say, to the 10s Max or something, I have to spend another $9 for the dongle. And then again, at $1,100 for the Max, I'm only getting 64 gigabytes of storage, and the flipping phone shoots 4K at 60 frames per second. How fast am I going to fill up that 64 bytes?
It's going to go pretty quick.
Yeah. So that was my biggest rant, and still bugs me how Apple is so confident that their iPhones are that good. I'm sorry, Apple, you have a lot of competition now. It's not that good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that kind of brings me back full circle to my rant with Apple right now, and I'm an Apple guy. I
Yeah.
will always be an Apple guy
Oh,
until they just completely screw the pooch.
and the church is full of Apple stuff. I mean,
You're
almost
welcome.
all of the computers are Apple. I know, I love it. And
That's all me.
And you do stuff
We
on those iPads that blow my
Yeah,
mind.
yeah,
Blow my mind.
yeah, and it's fantastic what you can do.
Mhm.
My biggest rant with Apple, and again, I've been an Apple guy. Well, I'll put it this way: I have never paid money for a Windows computer before.
Right. Okay. Wow.
So all the way back to an
Yeah.
Apple II, something 2E or whatever. I've never owned a Windows computer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm that deep in the ecosystem. My dog
What's your dog? What's your dog's name?
Sherlock.
Sherlock.
And we've had Sherlock now for 4 days. We just picked him
Oh,
up from the
wow.
rescue. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, your daughter was showing me a picture, so cute dog.
Yes. There you go.
And
Yeah.
you quickly dressed him in a Christmas sweater, it looked like.
Yes, he's in a red tacky Christmas sweater.
Very cool.
So,
yeah.
Apple has always been known for their attention to detail, right? And I'm a detail fanatic. I love that. I do that. Yes. I can appreciate when I see other people doing it, whether I agree with that detail or not. If I can see that someone has sweated the details, I can appreciate that. And it used to be that Apple was the detail company. Their stuff was a better user experience.
Right. Right.
And
So
whether
you used to be.
Used to be.
Used to be. What happened?
That's honestly what I think happened is the iPhone. All of a sudden, they started making so much money they couldn't even count it fast enough.
Right.
And it just became this cash cow for them. So it just became about how do we sell more iPhones, and now, I think they lost focus.
So are they in trouble now because we know the iPhone 10s, 10s Max did not sell as well as they expected. The iPhone 10R apparently is selling better than those, but not as well as expected. Some markets apparently they're restarting manufacturing for the iPhone 10, for the Japanese market at least, and maybe others. We don't know yet. And then we can get into the Air a little bit, and the problems with the Air, which I have some problems with those too, just from things that I've watched. Is Apple in trouble? Are they going to have to rethink some of this stuff?
I don't know. They've got to. I think the core problem is they need to start innovating again. When was the last time they did something new?
Yeah. No, that's true.
My gosh, I still have my original 2007 iPhone.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic that you can't even boot it up because you have to plug it into iTunes. and the current version of iTunes won't recognize it, so it won't let you boot
Right.
it up. But
Oh my goodness.
if you could open up and look at the home screen of a 2007 iPhone and an iPhone 10,
It would be very
literally
familiar
the
to
only
you.
difference is that you can have a picture as a background.
Right.
Otherwise, the screen looks identical.
Yeah.
And you look at an iPad, you look at any of this stuff. I can even take the shape, the physical shape of the original iPhone, and compare it to an iPhone 10. And obviously, the screen's bigger. The phone is significantly larger.
Yeah. There's a notch.
Don't get me started on the notch.
I just thought I'd try.
I can chase down that trail. But that's the thing, is it's the exact same phone that you could get 2008, 2010. It looks the same. The user experience is identical. And so why would I go spend that kind of money on an iPhone 10s when an iPhone 10 was the same thing? I can't even think off the top of my head what the differences are between a 10 and a 10s.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's $1,000.
The difference is, and I'm going to go there. This will be a transition to our next video. So this is my iPhone 10R, and has a larger camera sensor. It has the Bionic A12 Bionic chip, which is a magnitude of 100, I think, faster than the 11. I think that's right. And it does so many calculations per second. It's optimized for for iOS, and so on your pictures, the iPhone finally caught up to the Note 9, and I think to the Pixels pretty close as far as photography goes. And I would argue, and I will argue, that my iPhone 10R shoots the best video of any phone that shoots video, hands down. And so I think that's the upgrade. The stabilization on this video is amazing to me, and I have used it for professional work even 2 weeks ago.
The problem with everything you just said is, number one, I can't talk about the Bionic chip with my mom, who is the target audience for an iPhone.
True. Although she remembers Steve Austin. So that could work.
Okay, yeah.
And it has liquid retina LCD, which is redundant because LCD stands for liquid crystal display. But anyway.
But these are geek terms.
Correct.
And back me up on this. Geeks don't do Apple.
Ooh, ouch. Right? I'm going to agree with that to a degree. I'm making
a broad sweeping generalization there.
Yeah, because geeks know how to customize, and they love to customize their Android, and they get frustrated when their Apple can't do things that the Android can until 2 years from now. So yeah, you're right.
Or if they can at all. I mean,
yeah.
Big complaint of mine is that I can't even, download a PDF from the email app and open it in some other application.
Why would you want to do that?
I don't know. I mean, obviously you can share it over to the other application and stuff. But everything's about sharing from this app to that app instead of just putting it in my work folder on the SD card of the phone.
Yeah. They make it more difficult. Same with if you're recording. I haven't tried it with this phone yet, but if you're recording just straight audio, I did this when I was working at the radio station a couple of years ago. I went to a press conference and just put my phone by the speaker and got really great audio. Took it back to the station, and our engineer had to download a program to decode the audio into an MP3, because why can't you just record in an MP3, Apple?
Right. And, most phones record to an uncompressed format of some kind because there's less processing involved, which is fine. But the problem is really being able to get to the file. Where's the file?
Where's the
file?
I
want to plug the phone into my computer. And here's what's crazy. You used to be able to do this with iOS. You used to have what was basically a file browser. You could plug it into your computer and use it like a giant thumb drive. But for our convenience, and they took that feature away because that was just confusing to people.
Yeah. So much fun stuff.
I could just go on.
Well, Yeah, we've gone 20 minutes already, so we probably should cut it off here. But it's a good start because I'm thinking if you like this, I enjoy this. We could do this once a week or some semi-regular basis and throw these videos out there. I will say this channel that I started years ago and I mostly vlogged on, and I've been goofing off on different subjects now and then. The audience seems to like the tech stuff. So if I can throw more tech stuff out there, maybe this channel might do something.
Only we knew somebody that did tech stuff.
Right. Exactly. And then you want to get really geeky on the church tech stuff, and that's beyond me. So I don't know if we'll go there, but
bring it on, man. I can do all of it.
I know you can. I know you can. So let's cut this one off here, and then I'll just I'll stop recording, and then I'll record again to record our next one, which is the current phones that we have and why, and the pros and cons to those. So I will just say thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll be back in a few minutes, although maybe a couple days when I upload it, with the next video. If I can hit stop recording here.